SharePoint Online. And I'm very thankful to the sponsors, Microsoft Teams, and also the Microsoft Tech community for organizing this event and giving me the opportunity to speak to the Teams-based event. So let me start the slide here. So my name is Adnan Amin, and I'm working as a Microsoft consultant at Olive & Goose. I recently joined Olive & Goose, and I'm a Microsoft MVP for Office Apps and Services since 2015. And I am also a Microsoft certified trainer for past 11 years. And I was an MCT regional lead for 5 years for Pakistan chapter. And right now I'm in Lahore, Pakistan, and I'm working with remotely with Olive & Goose. And I'm a trainer, blogger, speaker, and tech forums, and also technology evangelist. And also, after COVID-19, I started working with the local education institutes for online classes on Microsoft Teams. And you can reach out to me on my blog or on my Facebook page. So let's start here. So the topic which I'm going to share today is very interesting. When we discuss about the content or digitalization of the content, then the thing which come in mind is the data protection. So I will be sharing the details that how we can secure content on Microsoft Teams. And most of you already have idea about public and private teams or the what are the differences on them. And I will share in this session, I will give a little overview about that. And then I will show you that what are the how to allow guest access and what are the configurations required for Microsoft Teams, SharePoint, Office 365 group, or at the level. I will show you all those configurations which are available. And then I will show you that the 3 tiers of content protection on Microsoft Teams and SharePoint using sensitivity labels, and will give you a walkthrough demo on sensitivity on content protection on Microsoft Teams. So let's deep dive to the session. Here, basically, Microsoft Teams as part of Microsoft 365 and Office 365 services follows all the security best practices and procedures. We can create three types of teams here on any of the on internet, which include public team, private team, or organization wide. Normally, the organization wide is the one team is that team where anyone can any member of the organization can join that. Can automatically join that. Public teams are those which are available and users can see them and can request to join and can join them. And private teams are the ones which are secure and no one can join directly. They need to be added to the team, or there could be a link provided for adding. And allowing guest access require different type of configurations. So, and we can also define the guest access for any specific teams. What are the policies for the organization which are required, and what type of content which they can view. And in this session, I will be sharing the details that how we can protect some of the content within the teams. And because at the start of COVID-19, I reached out by many of the institutes for online learning that they want to protect some of the content with some of the students within the same channel or within the same team. So I share the details with them, how we can do that using the SharePoint and what we have using sensitivity labels. So before jumping into my next topic, because normally what I do that I walk through all the configurations first, that what is available and what we can do, and then I start the walkthrough on that how those changes will be shown. But today, because we have 40 minutes, and I will walk through the changes in the protection and security what we can achieve on Microsoft Teams using these configurations, and then I will show you that what are the configuration settings which I did to achieve those to achieve that using the content protection or security customization on SharePoint side. So let's move on to that one. Jump on. So here you can see my desktop here. I already have created open multiple browser profiles. Like this one is for the admin user. This is for the one of the demo user, the Alex. This is for Adley, and this is for the guest account. So I will. I'm just first of all, I'm just showing you that I'm taking you to the customization for the themes based on sensitivity levels. So when we configure the themes on the sensitivity levels, that should not ask me. So here you can see that I already have created a couple of teams here, and I will only walk through that how these teams are working. Here you can see that team red and team green. This means that red is the one which is protected, highly protected team, and the red green is where we are allowing content to be visible to the other users like guest users or some others. So here on this one, you can see that it's a private external. I created the sensitivity labels like as a private external, and on this one I set it as a private internal, that highly secure site which can have your NPI data or any secure information for your organization. So what is the difference here? That if I go to this one, I just walk through that how it will look like, and when we create a team, it will ask me for the sensitivity labels that you need to select. If you haven't configured, then you will not see that option. But if you already configured sensitivity labels on your containers like groups and sites, then you will see that option and you need to apply any one of them. And if you don't want to apply any of them, that you want to create a team without sensitivity label, then you need to go to the team's admin center and apply those configurations from there. So here on this team, you can see that this is the admin user, and admin user have. I'm just showing you the high level configurations. You can see that the admin user can see all these options. But if I go to the guest user, this is the guest user window, and I will go to the teams here, team green, and because the guest user are only allowed to add on the externally shared teams, so they are added here. And if I go there, and I will see that because I was having a requirement that guest user can't modify the content. Right now, they can modify the content on this one. And if I go to show you this team, here we did some restriction for the guest users, and guest user can't view the content. And I will during the demo, I will show you that how by giving him guest user access, limited access, so that they can view the content, but they can't modify the content. That can be configured. And similarly here, you can see that guest user can add some. So user can add some of the content here, and but because I modified that, I added those restrictions from the SharePoint side. And now if I go to this one, this is the guest user, and I applied sensitivity labels in a way that on the documents that user can only view them on the browser or through managed devices for the highly secure content. And here and the highly secure content is restricted from the users. So here this is the document if which user can view from the browser window, but can't view from any of the unmanaged device. So let the document be open, and I will show you that I added some of the branding watermark on this one. And if user try to take a printout of this one, so here you can see that the watermark is added here. I added some footer text here. Similarly, we can add something for the sensitive content here, and this is a highly secure document which I created, the level where we have restricted the user access on the document. Here is the message here is not relevant, but if I open it I try to open it uh, on the client, it will be showing that it looking for the information protection rights. So this is something that need to be relevant so that we don't get that it's some error on the document, but this is because of the information protection. applied on those documents. So let's get back to the site here, because this is why I shared these details to earlier, that I will show you further that how we are going to achieve these type of settings, and then further we will deep down that drill down that how these things are configured. So let's jump in back to the slide here. So first, I will go with the outline guest access. So there are multiple ways to allow guest access on the organizations, and if you are a secure organization, then you can also set up the specific domains to be allowed, and what areas a user would be allowed, or you can also specify the from the users from your organization who can only add a guest user. That you can also restrict the other all of the users of the organization from adding guest users on the on any of the team or site collection. So I'm just going to the team here. This is my admin user. So for guest access, you need to go to the organization settings, and let me just refresh this one first. And on organization settings page, you can specify the setting for the groups, Microsoft 365 groups here, and you can, because I already have enabled guest access, so by default this option is not enabled. I believe one of these options is not available. So you need to verify that you have enabled the guest access on the team level, on the groups, and similarly with the teams. If this one option is not enabled, then if this option is not enabled, then users can't add, external users can't be added to the team. And the third one is on the, and you can also specify this teams configuration from the teams admin center. Let me check if I already have opened. So, and let me show you about the SharePoint. You can configure for the external user access, guest user access from for SharePoint from here also, but here you can't define the OneDrive one, and so I would suggest you to configure that uh, through the SharePoint admin center. So here you can also see that you can only you can choose, there are multiple options available for SharePoint, and you can also specify any of the domains, any specific domains. And if I take you to the Office 365, sorry, SharePoint Admin Center, here you can see that if you go to the policies here and on the sharing, you can specify the guest access. This is a default setting which I have set up for that I allowed external sharing on the on guest access on the on OneDrive, also on SharePoint. And if you want to specify any of the site, you can also define that for any of the site, that you can modify any of the site setting, go to the SIG policies, and then you can modify the security policies for the guest access for the, sorry. And you can also define the from the admin, from the overall configuration of SharePoint Admin Center, and from here you can also define that setting that which domains are allowed to be shared. Let me jump in back to the Teams Admin Center. On Teams, if you go to the Teams organization-wide setting, here you can define the guest access, and there is also a couple of other settings available which we will not be covering on this session. But here is that you can define, you can directly configure that on the Teams Admin Center. And one more thing, these are the configurations which are at the SharePoint at the tenant level. But now if you go to the Active Directory from here, Active Directory from here, and it will, like I already have opened here, and go to the Azure Active Directory, and if I show you here, you can also configure them the guest access for the tenant level at this point, that who can add the guest users, and if uh, restrict the user ability to access group features or group and users. So you can configure the guest settings from here, and I'm just missing few of the things here. Oh, that's here. If I go back here and roles and administration, so here we have a group for the uh, guest and so here you can add the users who can add an external user. So for demo purpose, I added two of the users. There, those are allowed to add the guest users on for the teams or some other areas. So this is the overall configuration for the guest users on which we can do on for the on our tenant. If you want to allow or you want to restrict the access of the guests. I'm jumping back to the slide here, and now I'm moving to the just so I think I missed one of the slide here while copying. So one of the thing is that before I jumping to mm, the sensitivity level, there is a way that you can customize the security for the users within a team on the documents level through SharePoint. And if I go to the here, I on this side, this is the view of this is Alex view for the document, and Alex is the owner of these teams. And so if I go to any of the team here, like so here, if I go to the team green here, and I will show you, I will open the files in SharePoint and will show you the configurations here and similar. So this is the team white, and what I need I need to break the inheritance if it's not already breaked, and can change the protection, can change the uh, access of the users. I'm going to advanced settings. So here you can see that it's inheriting the permissions from the parent. I'm removing this access, and if I go to the members here, you can see that team screen members group is added here. I'm just removing this group here. And before that, I can show you that on Adley, she she is the member of she's the organization user, and if she can go to the team green here, she can also view the files here. And same with the external user. This is an external user. So I'm going to click the inheritance here and removing the user from the group. So there are different ways of managing the permission at the SharePoint side level. So if you're having expertise of SharePoint, then you must be having very good idea about that. If you're looking at it for the first time, then that's the way we customize the security on the SharePoint level. I'm adding the user at the visitors group. The name of that group was Team Green Member, and I'm not sending any email invite. So here, if I refresh this page, so you will see that now the new button is gone for Athlete, and she can only view the documents or can download the documents. She can't modify any of the settings here. And same with this user, external user. If I just refresh the page for this user, the same behavior for this one. So, but I want to assign Adley as like the organization Adley as a to have edit access to that folder. So what I need to do, the easiest way is that I'm going to that members group and adding the user directly, or I can give explicit. Let me add here. And if I go back here and you can also add the user directly on at that level. So right now I added to members group so that whatever the folder which having unique permission I want to give, I can add her as a edit access to all those folders. If there are, I want to receive the access, then I need to add the user directly to that folder, mm, to the group, or I can create a custom group, SharePoint group, and add those users there. Now, if I refresh the page, I go back here. Is this for Adley? So here now you can see that it's showing the new button and everything mm, for the users. This is how we can customize the security on SharePoint side and which have impact on the team side. And there are scenarios where why I did that customization because there were some requirements for them, some class features that they have students who can only need to have access to their folders. They can't view, and we need to restrict their access on others folders, or they can view the access folders, but they can't modify any of the content on those folders. So for that, that we did that customization, and this is something which also requested by some of the customers for the gas users, with how we can restrict the gas users from modifying any of the content. They want to allow access to the gas, but how we can restrict gas access on modifying the content and who are part of the team. This is how we can customize the security or customize the access for the users. Now going back to the slide, and let's move for the security customization and three levels of protection, which so these are the recommendations. These are the three tiers of protection. It's not basic. It's not any configuration thing. This is the recommendation which is available on docs.microsoft.com, and you can look at the link here from where I copied, or you can simply search the three tiers of content protection on Microsoft Teams, and you can see the top link on for this one for this page. And here they defined basically these are three tiers. The first baseline is very basic baseline, and the baseline private is considered as the tier one. Sensitive is the tier two, and highly sensitive is the tier three. And you can see that the configuration here, that who can access everybody in the organization or only members of the team, and other can request access. And here only members, like no one can request them, only the site owner can add them or members can add them. And here that, sorry, I'm just missing the text here. So who can have the access of the content? And similarly, with the channel, who can create a channel? So the highly sensitive, only the site owner can create the channels. And here, if I show you that with the sensitivity labels, that there are requirements that why we need the sensitivity labels before I jumping to that configuration. That there are requirements for the secure content, that who can view the content, and what would be the devices that are allowed. There could be the content which can be allowed to viewable from any of the device. Like I'm not connected to any domain right now, and I can connect, I can view the document. or the content cannot be viewed from and the client side application. It can only be viewed from web. So that could be configured, and we can also define rules, separate rules for unmanaged devices, that no content can be viewed from unmanaged device, that I was unable to view that document because I was a guest user, and I was logged in on an unmanaged device. Even the content which or on highly sensitive, which I have shown you, I can view that document on the browser, but with the site owner user or with the editor, but I can't view that content on the client application because the device is not managed. This device on which I am currently logged in is not a managed device. Is not added to their SCCM or Azure Active Directory. So these are the 3 tiers of application, that how we can configure them. What could be the difference? What type of protection could be applied on a team side? And now I'm jumping to the last topic of my session, that what are the sensitivity labels. And these are basically the containers where we can define some of the rules and can restrict access, can restrict the access of the users, that based on their job title or their roles, or for the guests, or based on the content on different sites, or can also restrict the content on the documents. Encrypting documents or emails, you might have seen that there are some emails which shown that the content is protected. If you are part of the same domain, then you can view the document, but if you are some outsider, then you might need to access that email on the browser. And we can add header, footer, and watermarks onto the documents. Encryption is a separate thing, and adding that watermarks and these to the documents, so that if they try to download, even if they can try to print, then watermarking could be shown on document, and can block the access to SharePoint and OneDrive. Means with the sensitivity label, we can also block the access for the guest users and some other users that who can have access to them. And I recently got a requirement from one of the customer where they need some type of labeling for the sites after migration, that which are secure and which are not secure. So sensitivity label given us the out of the box solution, that we have applied on the sensitivity labels for all the sites which having secure content, and the label is also shown on the sites. And control access from unmanaged device, which I have told you. Let's jump into that, how it is configured. So I'm going back to the admin user, and if you go to the admin center, there are two areas from where you can configure, add or modify the sensitivity labels. One is the security, and you can also go from the compliance. It normally comes under the compliance center because it's related to the information protection. I'm going to compliance center, and from here I need to look for the compliance manager. Information protection. Yeah, that's it. So here I already have created couple of couple of labels here, and which perform different, which have different configurations. I will show you that how I configure them, and you need to label them in a way that you can identify that what is the purpose of this label. Like public internal seems to be something that that's a public content, but for internal users only, and that is also private internal, means that's for specific users and for internal only. So that could be the secure one. And that is on the private external, which where if this label is applied to any of the team or any of the SharePoint site, then they can have guest users. And these two I created for the documents, that these are confidential documents, and these are the highly confidential documents which are encrypted. So let me show you here the configuration here. So here you can see that you name that these are the basic settings, name and description for your label, and then I'm not, because I'm applying, I have created this label for the site and group settings, And one more thing here, I want to add here that when you are configuring it, labels for the first time, you will not see this option, site and group settings. You need to enable it through there is a commandlet function of Azure that you need to run that, and it will enable that sites and group settings section on your information protection on your sensitivity levels. So this is and this is normally required for the documents, not for the and then next section, which is content mark marking. This is for the like adding the uh, watermark or header and footer to your documents. And then because I'm working on the this one is for the sites and content, so I'm not making any changes on content marking. Here I just what I have done that I just have selected there are three options available. Public, anyone in the organization can access the site. Private, only members can access the site, and none. Let user choose who can access the site. Here we can this could be a highly secure content. We can use that setting, the last one, where you can identify that who will be the part of that site, who will have access. Not it, and here if you enable this option, then it will also allow guest access to the to that site or that team. And here I'm allowing that to allow access from any of the device which is managed or unmanaged. And so and the access is allowed from all the devices here. And I'm not setting up the auto labeling for Office apps at this point, and because that's a bit detailed topic to cover. And now I'm going back to I'm canceling the settings here. And similarly for the private one, private internal, what let me show you the setting which I have done. Here I just have that for the private internal allowed limited and web only. The document which I have shown you earlier that with those users, you have noticed that I opened the document on the web browser. So if I have tried to download the document and open it on my local machine, it will not be opened because the label is applied here and the content cannot be viewed. And similarly for there's no auto labeling configured for this one. And this is the third one, which allows the external users. And here I also configured that who can add an external user and what is the role of external user. Sorry, I missed it. That is for the documents where I configured the setting. So here I just enable the external user from any of the unmanaged device who can access that site or team. So now I'm going to that. Let me verify this one also. This one is not used. So here, if I go to the document level settings here, so on content marking, so one thing you have noticed that I haven't selected the encryption here for the documents because those are documents which are not encrypted, but I applied some of the basic content marking on them and just name it as a confidential, so the user can't take print or save it locally. Then if they try to save it locally, then it will be showing the watermark and things and customer tags here, and that's the default configuration. And for this one, it's a bit different what we have seen so far. So here on the encryption, I applied the encryption here. So because when I apply the encryption here, I have further options that I can set up that the content expire, that when this content can be expired, and allow offline access or not? If you're not connected, can you view the document or not, and from your local drive? And similarly, that you can also specify that when this content will be should be expired, and assign permissions. Let user assign permissions or assign permissions. Now I set it the first option, which is the default available. And here I added the users with different roles with the different permission with that content. Like Athley can review the content, Alex can go on, or yeah, he have the full access on the content, can view, delete whatever the access is required, and rest of the users on this tenant have view access, so they can view the document. So now I'm going to the next section. Here I did some content marking, like adding. You can easily add some text here, what you want to add. And similarly with the header text. And I haven't, and so I forgot to tell you about on previous on the previous level. I haven't selected this for the sites and group settings because that's the level which I created for the documents on. And here, if I go there, so this is the default setting for this one. And how this could be applied, if I go to the themes here, and when I create a theme here, let me go to the theme center here. Let me from not from here. I'm going with this Alex user, and going to here. If I'm going to create a theme here, here I can choose any of the sensitivity label here, like internal, external, or secure, and this is public internal. So, for example, this is team green, and here you can see that this is set up as a private external, which where I have allowed the external guest user, and this is the one where I have allowed no, I haven't allowed external users. So if I try to, I go to members here and try, this is the group owner, and if this user is trying to add any of the guest user, Adnan, I mean, is an existing guest user on this tenant. It's not showing up here. And if because guest users are blocked here, and if I select that same user here, because I already have added that, but it will be showing that. You can see here it's showing me the guest user. That's one of the thing that we can achieve using sensitivity labels, that you can apply different rules based on your different content. And and now I'm going to the show you one thing that on the SharePoint site, I think I already have opened here. So if I go to so here you can see that on any of the SharePoint site where we have applied sensitivity content, you will see that option is available. Private group, private internal. That label is also shown on the under site title, and this is not be shown on the classic pages. So if your page site is a modern having modern UI or modern page, then it will be, you can see the sensitivity label under the site title. And if I take you to the admin center, SharePoint admin center, this is under the active sites, you can you can see the sensitivity labels for all the existing sites here. And for example, this site do not have any sensitive content and is not a team site. You can select that one and can apply any sensitive content on this one. All the labels are available here. And similarly, if I go to the documents here, I'm going to Alex. So I'm on a SharePoint site from here. If I'm going to open this document, and here is the option for the sensitivity label, then you can change the sensitivity label. So right now, because I configured it in a way that I haven't grouped that sensitivity label so that it's showing all the sensitivity labels. Otherwise, you can in your organization you can group them in a way that the sensitivity labels which you are using for the groups and site collections for teams and site collections, then that can be grouped in a separate node, and these can be the document related can be shown on the separate node. And make sure to give them a meaningful name so it will be easier for the user to identify. And you can also configure the sensitivity labels on while you're writing an email, and you can select that the similar way that if it's a highly secure content or just secure content. And let me show you quickly because I have last 1 minute, and this is the owner user, and the user is trying to download the file on this local machine. And now let's see that if user can view the document here. Let me show you document. It will take some time, and you can see that it's looking for checking configuring your system for information right management. And after some time, it will give me is an alert message that with that you do not have access or invalid documents, some relevant document alert message. So if I try to open this document on any unmanaged device, I can't view that because the document is also encrypted, and the information right protection is protecting the document because of the sensitivity labels. Anything? So you can see that the message here, you're not signed into Microsoft. So I'm just canceling this one. And then now I'm going to so that's that all for the I think we are pretty much on time. Just 1 minute I have taken extra. So you can contact me on my Twitter, on my blog, I also started a YouTube channel where I'm sharing some of the technical trainings on these topics mainly on SharePoint site, on Teams. And basically I having a background of custom development, so mostly I write on those and working a lot on PowerShell scripts. So you can find a couple of PowerShell scripts on my blog and on my other areas, and you can reach out to me through this, and you can share your feedback and to attend the keynote at 7 CET. And let me see if we have any questions.
Thank you very much, Adnan. That was a really great talk. Really enjoyed it. Thank you so much. And